Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hey, Jeremiah, how are you?
Overly excited. How are you?
Good. I mean, it's damn hot today. I don't know in your neck of the woods how hot it is, but it's been hot and humid today.
Well, that's the way it goes when you're in the summertime, isn't it? How's your week been?
Week has been good. You know, the same thing. You know, talking. Astrid sent you regards today. He combined 50 people for the 28th. He told me he sent you a little text, but he at the same time said, I think Jeremiah's going to be busy. But I tell him, well, maybe he can't make it on this trip, but for sure he will make it on another event. I look forward. He's a good person, and he's really in love with cigars. I mean, you guys go way back, but we're not going to talk about that on the show.
Not today, that's for sure. Anyways, Jose, today's going to be a very interesting day. And, you know, I would like you to present our guest today because, boy, is she something special.
Well, today we are going to have on our show the pleasure of having Cynthia Gonzalez, which is the founder of the Puerto Rican Cigar Festival and many, many other things. Welcome, Cynthia.
Hello.
How are you?
Everyone. Thank you for having me.
So, Cynthia, it's great to have you. What a pleasure and honor. So much we've heard about you, and now I finally to have the blessing of your presence. And you look so beautiful. Look at the dress. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Favorite color.
A lot of color. I'm right now in my courtyard, my family courtyard. So I just thought, hey, have some of that sound, tropical sound from Puerto Rico during the show, so you can get the vibes of what's going on over here.
Beautiful.
Well, I can see a beautiful Fuente cup there that I know that's full of coffee.
I'm having my coffee, my cafecito. It's with a Casa Cuba. There you go.
I know you like that cigar very, very much. I see you posting about it. So let's get into talk a little bit about this passionate sister of the leaf. Cynthia, I'm pretty sure you were born in Puerto Rico, correct?
Yes. So I am from Puerto Rico. I was born in Chicago. My parents met in Chicago, but they're both Puerto Ricans. They married, they had their children over there, and then we moved to Puerto Rico in the late 70s. And I was raised here in Puerto Rico.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if I think I told you this on our conversation. When I meet Puerto Ricans, the first thing I tell them, only two good things have come out of Puerto Rico. You and mofongo. Because they go like, what? And then when I mention mofongo, they go berserk because nobody can make mofongo the way the Puerto Ricans make it. But that's a joke. So let me ask you this. What was the first cigar that you ever smoked?
The first cigar I ever smoked was a Davidoff. I don't remember which Davidoff it was. I was 21 years old. At that time, in El Hotel San Juan in Isla Verde, there used to be a cigar shop lounge at the hotel. And so I walked in there to get my first cigar because I've been waiting since I was 8 years old to smoke a cigar. So as soon as I turned 21, I went with my boyfriend at the time, and we went to the Hotel San Juan, and I got myself a Davidoff. They recommended a Davidoff. I know the Vitola was somewhere along the lines of a Petit, Corona, something along those lines. And yes, it was like a very light wrapper. So maybe it was a Connecticut, but
Yes.
I don't know all the details about it. So I just went to have the experience of what it was like to smoke a cigar.
Yeah, everybody starts off with a mild Connecticut wrapper, and then some people built their way up. Some people stay the same. Some people, just every day look for what's new, and it is what it is. Now, let me ask you this. When does Cynthia Gonzalez fall in love with cigars? Because that's a different story.
When I was around 8 years old.
Why?
I fell in love with the smell of the tobacco, especially from the pipe. My father's boss at the time, he was Cuban, and he smoked pipe and at times cigars. So they used to do family gatherings with families of the salespeople team and things like that. And in one of those gatherings, I was exposed to that scent, to the smell of the smoke of pipe. He was smoking his pipe, and nobody home smoked. So that was quite an impression on me, but was a very, very warm, like very welcoming smell. I just loved it. I fell in love with it. And every time there will be gatherings or anything, I will make sure that I was around the area where he was, so I could smell him and his friends smoke cigars and pipe. And so that stayed with me all those years until I turned 21, and then I went to smoke a cigar on my own.
So, Cynthia, before you got into cigars and all the things we're going to talk about, what did you do after going to college and all that? Did you stay in Puerto Rico? Were you in Chicago?
Well, I did went to college. I got a bachelor's degree in industrial psychology here in Puerto Rico at the University of Sacred Heart University. Then I moved to the States, and that was in the late 90s. I started, then I got the opportunity to study my master's degree at Webster University. And I study organizational behavioral organization studies and a master's degree in that. But I made a career between life and health insurance, the life and health insurance industry. And later on, in 2008, I got employed by the federal government. So I worked with them until May 21st of this year. So 13 years and 6-7 months approximately. I would have been 14 years of service now in September 15th.
Yes. So let's, you have been, without a doubt, a big voice for a very long time for the Sisters of the Leaf. And recently, you are the social media director for the Sisters of the Leaf global movement. Every time that the Sisters of the Leaf, doesn't matter if they're in Greece, if they're in Europe, you guys were, I think last week, all over the United States. Tell us a little bit about your role and how you got involved in that.
Well, first, we have to start with how I met Anastasia Cosmati, the founder of Sotol Greece, and then later on Sotol Global Movement. So it started as the Sotol Greece, which is an organization founded in Greece. And when I started in August of 2020. I opened and established an account to run what is known today as Mujeres y Humo Sotol of Puerto Rico, Sisters of Leaf of Puerto Rico. I started inviting, doing research, and that's how I met Danay de Leon, Silvana Bencomo from Brazil, Karen Berger, Leo, and so forth. So at the time I had this podcast on savvy.co about spirits, because that's how I started into the industry in spirits, distilled spirits. And then I merged both spirits and cigars. And then I started these special editions of interviewing women in the cigar industry. And we will discuss cigars, if they had their own, and pairing it with cocktails and making the cocktail live. And also that's how I met Anastasia. She served as a mentor because I shared with her my ideas of what I wanted to accomplish in Puerto Rico. And so she guided me also a lot. And other sisters of the leaf also were very welcoming and giving me their feedback. And then I got invited to, I believe it was the second and third roundtable. During the pandemic, they were doing the roundtables, international roundtables, which I was very honored. I mean, I barely had started my platform, and here I was sitting among the most iconic sisters of leaves around the world, including Berta Bravo, including Cynthia Fuentes, and so forth. From there, our relationship kept growing and merging more until now the Sotol Global Movement was created and Lefty came in. And both they have been developing this Sotol Global Movement program. I was offered the opportunity to be part of their committees. They have several committees, and one of the committees is the sensory committee, which fit perfectly because that's what I do. I do events about pairing with distilled spirit cocktails with cigars. And so that's how I started my role with Sotol Global Movement. And then during the PCA, that I was with them with the Sotol Global Movement to also promote Puerto Rico Cigar Festival. That's when Anastasia and Lefty offered me the opportunity to be their director of social media, to run their social media platforms. They felt that I had the skills. They saw how I've grown my own social media platforms for not only the Mujeres y Humo Sotol Puerto Rico, but also for the Puerto Rico Cigar Festival.
Yes, but also, Cynthia, you're also a contributor for Humo Latino. So how did that
Yes.
go?
So at the time, around October of 2020, the magazine was called Latino Aficionado magazine at the time, and had a different owner or director, but unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah.
And then Cesar came and formed what is called today known as Humo Latino magazine. And it was an offer. They made the approach. They liked my content, how I write, the reviews of my experience with cigars, and the photography that I will take to do such posts. And that's when in December, I had my first article. I chose a Zino Platinum, and I made a riff out of our traditional holiday beverage, which is the coquito. And I made a cocktail out of the coquito to pair with a Zino Platinum cigar. And that was my first article for that magazine.
Cynthia, today, the women worldwide, not in every country, but in a lot of the countries are playing a very important role, not only because they have brands, store owners, women in the last 4 or 5 years are visiting the shops more than anything else. So my question to you would be, is this movement, and I've done events in Puerto Rico with my good friend at Don Rey Cigars, and but in general, how is the movement of women assisting? One thing is going to the events, and one thing is visiting just the shops, and the other thing is just going in to buy cigars. How do you see that in Puerto Rico?
Yes, it's still a work in progress. You're seeing a little bit more women attending cigar lounges. To begin with, there are not many cigar lounges in Puerto Rico. And we had to also define what is known as a cigar lounge versus / a cigar shop bar setting in Puerto Rico. And what people need to understand about Puerto Rico is that it's a cultural, very colloquial tradition. Like you mentioned, Don Rey's, he has his cigar shop in La Placita in Santurce. But he's expanded. He has one in Cataño in front of the bay. He has one in the town in the heart of Caguas. He has another one in Humacao, inside the Palmas del Mar in Humacao. And so he has expanded, but still very traditional. Very small environment, a very local people that they just come together, to have their drinks and smokes and listen to music. Los trios, right? So very traditional. And then as I know, I've learned at Don Rey in Santurce, they expanded to the point where now they have a members only cigar lounge space on the back. But if you're not part of the membership, then you have the chairs in front of the sidewalk. Now there's some canopies. It keeps improving, right? But for the most part, you're going to see more men than women. It's still an environment that a lot of women do not feel comfortable participating. But then if you go to Casa de Monte Cristo and Old San Juan, the setting is totally different. The Casa Monte Cristo, which they have the licensing to use the name, is not a cigar lounge owned by the corporate Casa Monte Cristo. Their focus was to have the bar as the main attraction. So both smokers and non-smokers can come into the lounge and enjoy crafted cocktails. And the humidor is more like an accessory. So they have your daddy-doffs, they have now some Fuentes, they have the Padrones, they have the Plasencias, Galera, Romeo Julietas, Monte Cristos, the Diablos, etc. So they have a very nice collection of cigars, premium cigars, to enjoy with your cocktails. It's a very elegant setting, beautiful, very laid back. On Mondays and Thursdays, they have jazz music playing live. So it has a different vibe to it. It's more upscale. So you're going to see more women in that type of setting enjoying. And then while they're there, they go, oh, let's try a cigar. So those are the differences. Women here in Puerto Rico, they will be more inclined to visit a more rounded cigar lounge setting than going to a colloquial on the side of the wall kind of vibe cigar shop that mostly men go. There's some women, don't take me wrong, but that's the tendency. But that is where Mujeres y Humo Sotolo Puerto Rico comes in, organizing events where we can invite women and also men. My events, they come not only single women, but they come married couples, men and women. Some they say, hey, can I bring my husband? Can I bring my boyfriend to the event? I go, of course. Everybody is welcome. So it just fosters a welcoming, safe environment that we break the stereotypes. And that's how what I do here in Puerto Rico has matched so well with the movement, also the global movement, because we have the same vision at the end of the day. And it's to break the stereotypes. We want to have everybody to be inclusive, that this is to be enjoyed by everybody.
Yes, I mean, the worldwide movement of women has been really has been big. I mean, if you look at it in the States, I mean, it's the last 5 or 6 years in the States.
Yeah.
When I started off traveling back in the 90s, you would see maybe one woman. And, in the last 7 years that I was traveling, it was like you could have 40 people for one of my seminars, and you could have 10 or 12 women. And to be honest, some of those women knew more about cigars and blends than a lot of the men.
Uh-huh. Yes. So Puerto Rico's not up to par like what you see in the States and all the vast type of events that take place in the States, but we're in that road, and there's more smaller cigar lounges opening up. We have Picolino Cigar Lounge in Guaynabo. It's gonna turn a year soon. It does a collaboration with Roberto Echevarria. He has his Havana, Cuba, Havana something. Lounge, not lounge, it's a shop right next to the Picolino restaurant. And between the two of them, now they have the Picolino Cigar Lounge. So people can be inside or outside and have some Italian cuisine, have their cocktails, and smoke cigars. So it's a pretty trendy, nice place to go. You also have Gade Cigar Lounge in Humacao on the east coast of the island. It's located inside the Wyndham Palmas Beach and Golf Resort. So they have that. They're going to be turning a year old in October. And the same Casa Monte Cristo, if I'm not mistaken, let's see. This will be 2020. Yeah, I think they're going to be celebrating their 3rd anniversary this year around October as well. So as you can see, they're fairly new. Then you have Randy Perez, who has his cigar lounge shop in El Hotel Meliá in Ponce, Tabacos y Puros, and then his other one in Juana Diaz. There's the town next to him, Juana Diaz Tobacco Lounge. So that's on the south part of the island. Another place will be in Aguadilla on the northwest coast. It's called Timber and Blues. It's mainly a bar, but they allow cigar smoking, and they have a little humidor area with a few cigars, but you can bring your own and enjoy great crafted cocktails and food as well. There's also a chalet in Aguadilla, also with a bar, restaurant setting with a walk-in humidor. They sponsor a lot of the local cigar rollers, like Falto. Even though his cigars are not made here, they're made in La Aurora, but he's one of our own, and then all the other brands, including the Monte Cristos and so forth. And we cannot laugh for not because it's the last important, but the most important, Doña Rita at the Cigar House and Old San Juan. I reserve the last for best. She's an icon. It's an iconic store, and not only a cigar shop with accessories. They can have 500 plus brands at any given time in their walk-in humidor. They have their lounge set up. So it's another place that a lot of people love to visit. They're very well known in the island.
Rita, I've known her for about 25 years, and I know that Carlito knows her very well. Jeremiah, by the way, do we have anybody else going to be on the show today? Do we have a guy that goes in the show sometimes?
I'm sorry, didn't get that.
No, it's not with you. It's with Jeremiah.
Oh, okay.
You're muted.
I said, you're not getting the surprise guest until the end. Rich only comes on a bit later.
Cynthia, you took a step that it wasn't a little step, it was a huge step last year to do the first Puerto Rican cigar festival. I want you to tell us what inspired you, what really got you going to do something that I think hadn't been done like in 130 years, something like that. What made Cynthia Gonzalez really, really come to the plate and hit it out of the park?
So during my traveling last year, during 2021, I dedicated 2021 for the most part traveling, going to different cigar events, cigar weeks at different places. I was even an ambassador for one of them, which was Houston Cigar Week on May of last year. I went to Las Vegas Cigar Week, Orlando Cigar Week, and so forth. So one thing that stood out to me, and then the last one was the Heritage, which was in December, was my first time also attending. And my takeaway was, even though all that is great, I love it, they all had something different to offer. But something that stood out for me was I have not seen in the States any cigar festival organized by the Latino community. And I mean, if there's one, I have no knowledge of. It's not come across on social media to me. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. And of course we have Dominican Republic with their Pro Cigar. We have Puro Sabor with Nicaragua. Those are on their own merits because obviously, I mean, they're the tabacaleras and the brands and everything. So they have a whole different aspect, to bring and what people enjoy doing. That's excellent. But I'm talking about, like you were asking, cigar festivals, like the ones that we see every year. I said, there's none organized by the Latino community. There's no cigar festival that will represent us, or that there could be a platform for Latino cigar owners, blenders, to have a share fair representation. So I shared my ideas with very close friends in the industry, and they were like, "Okay, Cynthia, I see what you're saying. You have a point. Let's help you. Let's do this. What do you think? Florida or Chicago?" Like, no. I think you're not getting it. I said, no. Why do I have to go to the States to do a Latino cigar festival? I want to do it in Puerto Rico. But Cynthia, you have no tabacaleras. You don't have nothing like. But, I mean, Las Vegas doesn't have a tabacalera, and they have a cigar event festival. There are plenty of cities that do cigar festivals, and they don't have a tabacalera, and they don't offer tours. So why can I do it and not do it here in Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico has a lot to offer. And I want to do it in December. I want to do it so people can see what it's like to enjoy the holidays in Puerto Rico. Have some pork, right? Lechon en la varita, arroz con gandule, las parrandas, the music, the coquito, the pitorro, and smoke cigars. So that's what inspired me. And then I said, you know what? It's been a long time coming. This has to be done because we need to offer a platform where local cigar rollers can have an opportunity to be all together, those that want to participate. So everybody in the States and around the world can see finally what is our contribution nowadays when it comes to the tobacco or cigar industry. And for them to try them and make their own judgment on Puerto Rico production. So that's how it all started. No money, nothing, just the desire and the passion. And I just went for it. I put money on my own to do the registration, the brand, the logos, the whole setup, and knocking on doors. I'm going to do this. Would you like to participate? Here's the proposal. And the first one I had, we had 15 vendors. Among them, we had Don Rafa Cigars, who is Rafael Jaca. He lives in Chicago. He's Puerto Rican. His cigars are made in Nicaragua. So tabacalera over there. Then you had Gade Cigar, which are the owners of the Gade Cigar Lounge. Their cigars are made in Dominican Republic. Their blender was Candido Rosario for their cigars. You have Maru. We all know her by Maru. Her cigars were blended by Don Rey. In Dominican Republic, it's called Boca Negra. You have La Hoja de Chan, Gabi and Liz, the couple. They have La Hoja de Chan and Gade, and the Gabi Sweets, the Gadi Sweets. So they have their own. He has a cigar blender and also cigar roller. And they do also events and so forth. So they participated. Monte de Leon, who are Puerto Rican that lives in the States, they participated. You have JJ, Puros, JL. JJ wasn't able at the end to participate, but he's also one of the cigar rollers in Puerto Rico. You have JL. So you had several brands. And then we had Altadis USA, which was our main sponsor. And this year for 2022, they're also the sponsor for the Puerto Rico Cigar Festival. We have other contributors and sponsors that I've been counting on since the beginning. We have Puerto Rico General Distributing Company. The owner is Tino Arias, who has supported the movement and Mujeres y Humo from the beginning. So every event that Mujeres y Humo does, he sponsors and backs it up. So yeah, it was a collaboration. Everybody said, yes, I'm there. I believe in this. We need this. And it's like they say, the rest is history in the making, because we're still young. You have to start somewhere. And we cannot leave out the Winham chain, which is Winham and the Palmas in Humacao, that gave me the opportunity to host that event there, for them to be the host venue. And also this year they're going to be the host for Puerto Rico Cigar Festival, because most of all the hotels in Puerto Rico, they're non-smoking hotels, but because they have the cigar lounge, it's proper. It makes sense. So we have a weekend of festivities to enjoy cigars, different brands from the States and local, with food and cocktails, different spirits that are participating, like Jameson, Absolute, Don Q, Reyes, and so forth. Also, Sierra Whiskey is also going to be participating this year. So you have all that combination, and then the resort, access to the beach, the golf course, the beaches, the pool. I mean, can it get better than that? Hola, Carlitos.
Hola, Cynthia. It's just great. There's so many wonderful things. Good to see you, of course.
Same. Thank you.
There's something very special about you. And it's not the first time that I personally met you, that you were sitting down on a little bench and I walked by, hey, how you been? And I said, you recognize me? And you said, it must be the hair. And I said, no, it's your eyes. because
Yeah.
I never forget a woman who touches my heart through her eyes. And
Thank
I have so much admiration for you for all the things that you're doing. There's so many wonderful things. I believe so much in the empowerment of women. You know, if I'm gonna, if I have a choice, and I'm gonna walk, and I have a choice of two events, and I know that one is going to be a lot of women, that's where I'm going to go.
Mhm.
That's the first place I'm going to go. And you know, and I've been seeing so much. I've been seeing so much talk about your event, the festival in Puerto Rico, and you know, it's just going to amazing December. You know, and in December the weather's just so perfect, and you know, and there's so much happiness in the air, and so many wonderful things that you're doing. I know it's going to be a great success.
Thank
And I just want to tell you also, aside from everything else that you contributed to this wonderful world that we're part of, you don't know the satisfaction you gave me when I saw Jose Blanco's face. Well, people may not know who I'm referring to. I'm talking about the professor. When you mentioned a Rocco Guandule, el Ochoncito, his face, do you know where he lives? He lives at Casa Carajo. You know, I don't know what he has to eat to survive out there, but it's not. And when you mentioned Guandule, you gave me so much satisfaction to see his face. He was trying, he was ready to explode. But anyway, thank you for accepting this invitation. We all think the world of you, everything you're doing, not only for women, but for the world of cigars, because it's really not about gender, or it's not about, we've said that so many times. It's about spreading the love. And you could get all the great cigars in the world and all the great cigar makers. And if it's not for people as yourself, then that love is never going to reach where we intended to go. It's information, it's education. And what you do with your magnificent pairings and the pairings with your cocktails, your creations that you make, how you bring the luxury world, the good life, and educate people how to have that special moment, enjoy themselves with others. That is magical. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Cynthia, Carlito had to rub it in about arroz con guandule, lechon asado, and that, because here where Em and I live, you know, what we eat is a lot of meat, a lot of fish, and things like that. But you know, you're on our show a lot. He loves to bust my balls. He doesn't give me a break. Jeremiah lately is being nicer to me than Carlito, but I don't know what it is with him. Jeremiah?
Well, Jeremiah thinks it's time to nail the professor. What do you think, Jose?
Let's do it.
All right. If I can find the banner. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to nail the professor.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
All right, Professor, you're going to get your balls busted, I can tell you that.
It happens every week.
Okay, so it's going to be a bit of a change of rules today because we're not going to ask questions from the outside world. We're coming at you from left and right. Numbnuts 1 and Numbnuts 2 coming straight for you.
I think I have a problem with my Wi-Fi.
All right, let me throw you some easy questions to start with, Jose. I want to get you warmed up. What's the difference between Connecticut broadleaf and the Pennsylvania broadleaf?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And a lot of people have a lot of confusion about that. First of all, in my humble opinion and my 2 cents, I'm a big fan of Connecticut broadleaf. It's not that I don't like Pennsylvania broadleaf, but to me, the Connecticut broadleaf from the Connecticut River Valley, when that tobacco is fermented correct, and it's aged correct, and it's processed correct, it's an amazing wrapper. The sweetness that tobacco has, unfortunately, Pennsylvania broadleaf doesn't have it. Now, if you put Pennsylvania broadleaf away for many years, I'm not talking 3 or 4 or has to be at least 5 or 6 years. That sharpness that it has, and sometimes that metallic note that you pick up goes away. But with Connecticut broadleaf, which we use a lot, that is actually 6 or 7 years before we use it, it's a huge difference between the two of them. I've gone into shops and people have given me the 2 cigars and they've told me, this is Pennsylvania broadleaf. One has Pennsylvania broadleaf, one has Connecticut broadleaf. And you put it in your mouth and you pick up that sweetness. And as soon as you take out 3 or 4 puffs out of it, you can tell right away the difference between Connecticut broadleaf and Pennsylvania broadleaf. Probably Carlito's going to say I'm all screwed up or something because he's a ball buster, but I'll let Carlito throw in his 2 cents.
I'll try to, give that answer in more your terms, and maybe not as technical, not to confuse as so many people, but I don't think it's any different than taking Meerapfel seed and planting it, in South Africa, or taking Cabernet grapeseed from Napa and planting it in Arizona. It's not the same. It doesn't taste the same. People want it to be the same, but it's just not the same, because you marry her, you're going to take her to bed. You buy her, you're going to smoke it. You're going to eat it. You're going to put it in your mouth. And for me, to me, that's very, very sacred on the tobaccos that I choose for my cigars, because it's the one I'm taking to bed with me. And I'm not getting like this because Cynthia's on the show. I don't want you to get any idea. He'll say, or start sending me messages on WhatsApp or what's wrong with me, this and that. I took my medication. So it's my 2 cents. And I'm glad to see you smile. You actually could smile. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Jeremiah, what do you think?
I think I understood what Carlito said, and thank God he explained it, because I didn't understand a word you said.
Hey, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Jeremiah didn't take his medicine today.
Listen, you know what I think about this stuff, and Carlito nailed it. We go through it all the time. People are, our family's been growing Cameroon since 1969, and now there's Cameroon in Ecuador, there's Cameroon in Nicaragua, in Honduras. There's Cameroon in North Boca Raton. There's Cameroon everywhere these days. But yeah, let's skip that because it's going to get me aroused. All right, next question. Here's the one you're going to like, Jose. And then it'll get Carlito and I going after you. What's the biggest mistake that cigar smokers make?
Wow. I would say one of the biggest mistakes cigars, they make a lot of mistakes. I mean, I've been doing it for 56 years and I still make mistakes. But I think the greatest mistakes that smokers, especially the ones that are starting, but even through all the years, I've in my seminars, people who have been smoking for 20 and 25 years judge a cigar by the color of the wrapper. That's, to me, one of the biggest mistakes they make. If you really go down the line, and it doesn't matter if it's Fuente or Padron or whatever company, I could go into a cigar shop and pick 50 cigars with a light wrapper that are stronger than a Maduro. What does Maduro mean? Maduro means ripe. It's the natural fermentation process that we do to try to uniform as much as possible the colors of the wrapper to create uniformity. But ripe means Maduro. And to be honest, the majority, I would say 60, 70% of Maduros are really medium plus. And once in a blue moon, will you find a really Maduro that's gonna knock the pants out of you. But the majority are just medium plus. Some of them are not even medium, and they have a really dark wrapper. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Professor, what else?
Mistakes that the consumers make? Oh, I would say another mistake the consumer makes is taking a cigar, taking 3 puffs out of it, and try to evaluate it right away. I mean, you got to give a cigar at least, in my opinion, an inch and a half. Because now, one thing I can tell you this: if you got a 6-inch cigar and you got to smoke 3 inches for the cigar to start to perform, then something was wrong with the blend, or the roller did not put the leaves in their rightful position. Because I got to tell you, to me, a cigar after an inch, if it doesn't start to perform, I'm going to question the cigar. I don't know what Carlito has to say about that.
Well, there's several things, Jose. To answer you, it depends also on the style of the cigar maker, the house style. There might be an intention, just like an orchestra or a play, when it starts off interesting, but you don't get the big excitement into later during the play. And that's why it depends on the brand. It depends on the house style of that particular cigar. But, one of the things that really blows my mind, one of the craziest things is, remove the cedar. And if a cigar has a ribbon, Fuente was the first to use ribbon on cigar. I want everybody to know. Everybody started copying Fuente. The first one was green, and then we did red. Everybody started doing red, and then we blue. Now they use blue. Now they use yellow. Fuente was first, but it was intended to take off before you light the cigar. Do not light your cigar with your ribbon, your cedar, number one, because almost everybody's using the same Fuente look. But to me, honestly, has nothing to do with cigars. Ask yourself, what is the most enjoyable sensation God's gift to humans? The most enjoyable thing. Don't ever rush it. Take your time. Don't rush. The same thing that adults enjoy, that special act, the same way with your cigar. Do not rush it. Enjoy it. Contemplate it. Think about it. Just don't puff to get smoke and try to get it quick. To me, that's one of the most important things. Do not rush it. It was not meant to be rushed.
No, I agree. I mean, I ask people in my seminars, how long does it take you to smoke a Robusto 5x50? And I've heard people say, I'll do it in 20 minutes. I mean, people don't understand that it's not the leaf that has the flavors. It's the essential oils that the leaf have. So when you're putting heat in that, it's like smoking paper. There's rules. A Robusto, it's an hour. You have a 6x54, an hour and a half. You have a 6x60, it's 2 hours. You have an A that's 9 1/4 by 47. It's a 3-hour smoke. But going back to what I said.
Now I understand how you used to pick up your chicks when you were a teenager. You used to look them in the eye and say, you are a double Corona.
But listen to this, Carlito. This is what I say about a cigar has to perform. You pay $12 for a cigar that has 6 inches, and you smoke 3 inches and nothing has happened. $6 went to waste. So what are you going to tell me? That I'm going to pay $6 to smoke the last 3 inches, and you don't smoke the last 3 inches. You smoke 2 inches more. So I am a firm believer that the cigar after the first inch has to perform. And I got to tell you something. I don't like to get into controversy, but I had a conversation with somebody in a magazine one time that told me a story about some guy who didn't get a good rating once. He said, well, my cigars perform after the middle. And the person from the magazine said more or less what I had told him one day and used that analysis. A cigar after an inch has to perform. My 2 cents.
Once not even an inch, we'll say, once you light a cigar, you
half
start
an inch.
you start getting an idea of the cigar, what it is, if you like it or don't like it. If it's offensive to you, to your body, to your palate, if it's offensive, you're gonna already start getting a bad impression. But if you say, well, there's something interesting here, then you will continue to enjoy it. And you might be pleasantly surprised at what you'll find.
That's right. Is Mr. Myberg around?
I don't know, Jose. You're getting worried because the hard questions are coming next. Those
No,
were
no,
just
no, 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 no. Hey, I'm 72. I'm
catchy. Too little.
I'm gonna be seven. I'm gonna be 73 in October, and I'm not taking more shit from none of you guys after my 73rd birthday.
He's expecting something. Jeremiah keeps mentioning his birthday coming up in October.
Yeah, I know. He mooches enough cigars. What are we going to give him for his birthday?
No hablo inglés.
If you're a very good boy. Look at that smile. That smile is priceless.
No, let me tell you something. Even before I worked with Carlito, I've always said it. He always took care of me. Always. And even you sometimes. But I've been taken care by the industry. That I can tell you. Moocher number one.
No. You haven't been taken care of by the no. You force everybody to take care of you. That's a different story.
You know, when I'm down there, Cito always says, it's not what he asked for. It's how much he insists for it.
Exactly.
He thinks he's going to leave without the cigars.
That's right.
Never does.
All right. Well, I think it's time to pull in our good friend, Rich Myberg. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rich's Riot.
Hello, everybody. I'm blessed today to be in a cigar shop, a rather crowded one, which is great news for all of us in the industry. It is a female-owned cigar shop, and her number one salesperson is female as well, and a certified tobacconist. So it's great for me to be here and see a lot of her customers who I've known over the years. And that's I don't know if Cynthia is still with us or not. If she were, Carlito missed his opportunity to sing "To All the Girls I've Loved Before," but I'll have to jump in and do his song for him. Let's see, real quickly. A friend of mine is a park ranger at one of the big national parks, and he's riding his horse along one day and sees this hawk swooping down and making passes, and he gets up there and this beautiful snake is on the ground, and the hawk keeps trying to get to it, and he gets that hawk to move away. He gets that hawk out of the way, and the snake looks up and says, "Sir, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a magic snake." So what? He said, "Yeah, I can grant you 3 wishes." And the ranger goes, "Yeah, okay, 3 wishes." He says, "Sure." He says, "Okay, number 1, I want my face to look like Brad Pitt." He says, "Okay. And I want my body to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger." He says, "Okay. And what's your 3rd wish?" He says, "I'd like to be hung like this horse." So the snake says, "You got it." He goes home and he looks in the mirror and, man, it's Brad Pitt's face. He rips off his shirt and he says, "Holy mackerel, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't have anything like I got on my chest there." And he drops his trousers and goes, "Oh no!" And his wife says, "What's the matter?" He says, "I forgot I was riding a mare." So thanks, guys. Oh, by the way, right behind me on the wall is a guitar signed by Tim Osgener, who was a guest on the show a couple of weeks ago. I just finished smoking one of his cigars waiting for my turn on the show. Very good cigar, and being close right here in the Nashville area, he's done a hell of a job getting his cigars into the shops. Carlito, I've been working a little bit with Caballo Blanco, making sure that we protect the eggs. So we got to keep that going. Everybody, thanks so much. I'll
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Thanks, kids.
Time to get back on the horse, Jose. Let's close up the show.
Cynthia, I have you have to unmute. Okay. Last 2 questions for you. How do you see the future of women in the industry? That's first question. And has a second part. How do you see the industry as a whole?
So how do I see women in the industry
Yes.
right now?
Yes.
Okay. So most definitely women their voices are being heard. But also because there are platforms that are opening their doors, to just put it like that, to give us the opportunity to be able to voice out not only concerns, but what we can contribute to the industry as well. But they have been opening it because we have taken it on our own to do something about it. That's why I always use the expression, be the change that you want to see. It's not for everybody. And as a woman, I saw that I saw and I felt that there was a need, and the idea came about, and I said, well, I'm going to do something about it. That's my contribution. And that's something that could have been done by a woman or a man. There's no gender when it comes to that. Both are capable of doing or contributing to a change. But as a woman, then there's more, how would I say it? It's more noticeable because it's a woman. Not many women in this industry will take that risk. It's a high risk. If it goes well and it's successful, wow, awesome, amazing. She is wonderful. But if it wasn't or it isn't, then I had to face the consequences of that and receive the full blunt of that. And you see, a woman, what could you have expected, right? There you go. That goes to show you, for those that are not too welcoming of women yet, but it's changing. So it's a risk. And not only for me, but for my family. My family, especially my parents, are my number one fans. And they back me up 100% on my ventures. And this is not the exception. They're highly proud of me for what I'm doing. They know, they've seen firsthand my ups and downs. My daughter as well, she's 17, turning 18, just started college. So there's a lot of expectations, not in a wrong way, but you have a lot of people, family, friends, a community, Puerto Rico, that one way or the other, they look up to me. They say, okay, Cynthia, well, we're in your hands. Make us look good. Don't. So there's a lot of responsibilities that comes along with it, regardless of gender. But it just points out more. It's more prevalent when it's a woman doing it. We have different things that we have to juggle as a business person, entrepreneur, also family life, and so forth. And we had to also be mindful how we carry ourselves. We consistent with how we convey our messages, so there's no confusion or misinterpretation and so forth. So I truly believe that women in general in this industry are doing a wonderful, amazing job at it. We have plenty of women leaders in the industry that are paving the way. And I'm very proud to work with them, be with them side by side, doing all the different events that we've done and the ones that are coming soon and in the future. Really are.
Well, Cynthia, first of all, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. You are indeed a very influential and passionate sister of the leaf. That you're not only working in Puerto Rico, but you're working with the Global Sisters of the Leaf movement. Danais, Anastasia, Aliki, Sarah, so many women that are doing a great job. So Again, thank you for accepting our invitation, and we look forward to see you again and wishing you the best of luck in the second Puerto Rican Cigar Festival.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to have sat to be part of this show where so many legendary people in the industry have been interviewed in your show, and for me to have the honor to be part of that list, it's a complete honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
Carlito?
Yes, Cynthia, I also want to thank you wholeheartedly. And Jose is absolutely right. All your contributions, all your hard work, all the challenges that you have faced. And like so many successful women in this industry, because possibly 15 years ago, I could count them in one hand, or maybe I needed two. But today, I don't know. I don't have enough hands. Do I know enough people to count how many are successful? I see the future is very bright. As I've said many times, women have always been an integral part of the cigar industry and the world we live in. But seeing them come to the forefront, to be highlighted, to have earned the position they so much deserve, that they have earned through hard work, through passion and dedication. They have contributed. When I say they, of course, it includes you. That's why we invited you, and it was so important for you to accept this invitation to our show, because Meet the Professor and everyone on the show believes so much in how women contribute to our industry, how women have a special gift, a special talent when it comes to tobacco and cigars, which I've said many times. I wish you all the success. I know you'll do well. It's just one step at a time. Yours are giant steps, obviously. And you have become a leader and a representation of a big, big community that is growing rapidly and will continue to grow. I know you do well. I wish you the best. I'm going to do everything possible to win Puerto Rico. And just want to say thank you so much. I have a lot of faith in you. I believe in you. And I know that you will continue to give your heart, your passion, your soul to make people happy. And that's what this world is all about. God bless you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cynthia, I wanted to thank you, and I would like to congratulate you on the journey that you've chosen and everything that you're doing. I could only imagine how difficult it must be coming into this world and fighting for what you believe in. We do it every day for different reasons and with different things, but you've taken an angle which is important to you, but it's also important to most other people out there. Most other people that are sane in the head out there, because at the end of the day, what we are all looking for is enjoyment, experience, community, respect, and being together as human beings to gather around a very, very special product that has been around, men and women, for the last hundreds and possibly thousands of years. And for you to be here today and be a militant, to have to bring back what is right, what was, and what should be, is definitely a journey and definitely a task which not everybody would have the courage and the energy to do. So Cynthia, thank you very much on behalf of the Meerapfel family, on behalf of the Fuente family, and on behalf of Jose Blanco and the entire team here, Rich and Melanie and everybody else at the Meet the Professor. Thank you very much for doing what it is you do, and keep doing it.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, Cynthia. We're going to wrap up the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another exceptional episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. Next week, Mr. Blanco?
We're still deciding because we have an issue with two people. One guy's traveling, he's not sure, so he's gonna
Now,
probably.
I gotta tell you, people need to stop fighting to get on the show. There is going to be room for everybody. They just have to be patient, and we will make sure that we bring the finest to your social media. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another wonderful episode of the Fuente and Meerapfel Meet the Professor. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other. And if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now, and see you next week. Thank you. Cynthia, that was wonderful.
Hey.